court, and some terminology. This is all up on the website that I'm hoping to get out, put that information out tomorrow, because if you're new, you're like, I don't know what the heck you're talking about, which I get. So we're going to talk about this, but more importantly, we're going to see some plays, and then we can talk about that. So here's some of the terminology we talked about: lead, center, trail, rotation. If we ever say rotation, that means the live ball action of moving to improve to get a better angle. So you go from this side of the lead, you go to this side, you rotate it over, and then the other two partners fill in. A switch is a dead ball action, of which you call a foul, your partner calls a foul, and you switch positions with them. Strong side is the side with the ball or two officials. Weak side's the one with one. Opposite is opposite the table. So we talked about jump ball procedures. So we already know what the R has, the U1 and U2. You might ask, why do they have these designations? I didn't come up with them. That's what they just have. Referee, referee, referee. That's all I care about. Once you throw a jump ball, it doesn't matter. So I'm not even going to go into some of these. All right. So right here, this plays again. Maybe my video wants to cooperate with me. All right. So I check with the table, make sure we're good. I put my hand up. Partner sets the direction. Then he blows his whistle, which is fine. Throws it. I chop the clock to start it. He waits for everybody to clear out, and away we go. That's as simple as it is when we move. You can see all our non-jumpers are pretty legal. Jumpers are legal. Partner throws a decent jump ball. If you make it look like that every time, it look good. U2 goes to be lead. I become center. He just backs out to become trail. Set the direction. Everybody's legal. You notice they're all off the jump circle. Partner waits. He goes. I back out before he gets there, which is no big deal. My other partner became the lead on that side. So try to get your jump balls to look something to those two. Sometimes people come right down the gut. I try not to split these two because I don't want them to move after I do it. All right, those are your responsibilities, what we talked about already. I'm good with PowerPoint. I showed some animations. We talked about that. I'm not going to do anything with this. But this will be online for you to see. We talked about primary areas of coverage. Look at those. That's what you want to try to be at every time we have a primary area of coverage. Your lead right here has everything inside the three-point line in the middle of the paint to the free throw line. Center has opposite the middle of the paint to the free throw line and up, and trail has everything else. So here's some responsibility stuff. This starts right here. The trail has a pretty good call. So by the time he blows his whistle, it's right here in the paint. Where do you think we should bring this ball to? Say what?
Back to the spot where he called.
So if it's right here, where does this go? Where do you think it goes?
Down the baseline.
It goes to the baseline. Everything inside the half circle, the free throw, I'll show a diagram, goes to the baseline, everything goes to the sideline. So it's in his primary, starts in his primary, he stays with it. Got another one coming up the floor. We have a whistle here, we have a whistle here. And I'm on the mic again. Jonathan gave this one up. It's on his side of the floor. It's his call all the way. What he should do, he should beat him to the table. I don't even know who our lead is here. He should go to the table. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Unless he had like 10 in a row, he needs to go to the table with it because it's on his side of the floor. Our gray areas. Where do you think there are some gray areas on the floor? Where do you think we could have double whistles or two people looking? What's that? So you're saying here, 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 here. Yeah, I get you. All right, where are some common ones? Right here's one.
Elbow in the corner.
The elbows can be one. So it could be here, could be here, could be here.
Short corner.
Short corner really shouldn't be, but it can be. The biggest one is going to be right here. The second one's going to be right here, and the third's going to be right in here. Right here because this person gets excited looking down here, this person's ball watching, this person's actually supposed to be looking there, so everybody's looking there. You shouldn't be. If there's somebody here, it's this person. If there's somebody here and then another person here, this person is going to pick up the play right here, and then your center's going to come in. If it's on this side of the hoop, give your center the first crack at it. They should have that all the way to the hole. This is when I talk about marking the three-pointer. If I put a three-pointer up, I'm taking the shooter up, the shooter down. If you're my partner and I see you do it, I'm going to let you have the shooter up and down. So if I'm not taking the shooter up and down, what am I looking at?
Her area.
My area, but if there's a shooter, three-point shot goes up right here. My partner marks it. They're watching the shooter up and down. Where do my eyes go?
Under the basket.
They go right here, right? I'm looking for anything that goes over the top of the rim, but I'm also looking for any push in the back here, whereas my partner has this. Conversely, if I have a shot right here, my partner's eyes are going to come down here, and he's going to stay there. So it's just covering those areas. If there's an uncontested three right here, boom, mark. You don't need to take that shooter up, that shooter down. When I say uncontested, John's taking a shot, and I'm trying to defend him, and I'm like nowhere close. But if there's a hand close to the face, you need to be there. So here's some gray area plays. So we rotate over. We curled. Who has the best look at this play? This guy's name is Todd, and I'm right here. So it's either myself or Todd. We didn't call the hook. I'm not calling the player control hook right there. Who's got the best look at this one? Me or Todd? Probably Todd, right? It curls away from me, and it's right in his lap. If he stays right here, he's got a heck of a good look. He doesn't have a bad look, but he's got a better look right here. So he sees that. I let him take that to the table. He goes to the table with that because it's in his primary. That's right down the gut. That's right in that gray area, right? It started in my area. It curled away from me. It's not my play. He doesn't put a whistle on it. I have to. I'm a second quick with my whistle here. All right, watch another play. Watch it again. Watch what my partner and I do. His name is Brad. So we have a three-point shot. We pregame. I'll tell you what we talked about in the pregame here in a second. What do we both do, and what do we both then do?
Call it and then bail.
We both go, yeah, I'll mark it. Oh, we saw each other. And we put it down. It was a three-pointer. If it would have went in, we'd have been like. So what we pre-gamed, excuse me, was if I mark it, I'll take the shooter up, the shooter down. If I see you, you take it. Well, I went up, he went up, and I was like, all right, he's got it. I went away from him. I went away from the shooter. He did the exact same thing because we talked about it in the pregame. Now, thankfully, there ain't a soul out here. That's not really a threat right there. He's pretty much good on that. So talk about that. If you see yourself do it, talk about it. We talked about this at halftime. I was like, you realize we did this? He's like, yep. It happens. We learned from it and fixed it. Inbounding and switching. That. Lead only has the baseline. We talked about a couple of these, so I'm going to keep going through these. So this is your baseline, lines of coverage. The center has this entire line. If that ball goes out right there, whose whistle should I hear? Lead, right? This person right here. He or she may not have a clue who what ball went out on, but they have the whistle. If I don't have a clue who it went on, what do I do? How do you think I respond to this?
Talk to your people.
I don't call Alyssa. I blow my whistle, right? Ball went out of bounds. Boop! Then what do I do?
Look at the other guy.
You look at the other. Help! I didn't see it. Help me. Or if I know my partner's name, Danny, I need help. Going this way. And what he will do is point the direction. Blow his whistle, point the direction.
They don't know either.
They don't know either. You come together and you try to figure it out. Because if you don't know,
Say something.
you got to go to jump ball. I'll tell you right now, if you ask me for help, I'm giving you direction. And if the whole place erupts, I'll be like, we sure about that? Done this before. Boop. Going that way. Whole place goes nuts. Coach behind me goes nuts. I was like, do you see something different? Yeah. All right. Then we'll go this way. It's one of those things that If it goes out of bounds and everybody's walking that way, guess which way we're going? That way. If you go out of bounds and everybody's like, hey, we're going to stay here. Yep, we're staying here. You may not have a clue. I've done this before. I was like, boop, white. Shit, everybody's going this way. Blue. Yeah, you think I make this up. I try not to lie to you. I've done that. It's all right. It could be plain as day, and the dude's like, you missed it, man. You want to go the other way. But I go the other way, especially if everybody's walking that way. So don't be afraid of that. This trail has the division line 90-some% of the time. The center may come up and get it in transition, and they have those other 2 lines of responsibility. This is what I was showing you before. If you have a foul or violation that occurs in this half circle or the trapezoid, we go to the baseline. Anywhere else, we go to the sideline. If it's right here, we go that way. If it's right here, we go this way. If it's right there, we go right there. Why wouldn't we put anybody right here to throw the ball in? You're underneath the backboard, right? So they rear back and they go to throw and they hit it off the back of the backboard. Guess whose fault it is? Theirs, but you're responsible for them. So essentially, if this is my lane and they're standing in the middle of it, and I want them out here, they say, hey, come out here. I'm going to hand you the ball. I bring them out here, and then I hand the ball to them. Because now what they're going to do is, they'll get there by 9 o'clock tomorrow. Take a step towards me. Get them out to there. But remember that. What I don't want you to do is a foul happens here and you check at the baseline. Why wouldn't I want that to happen? What's that? Give me a huge advantage. Who watched the play with .2 on the clock that came out, I think, just before the weekend, where the kid tips it and they all wave it off? Yeah. Those 3 were wrong. You know why? Because under .3 you can tip the ball. You just can't shoot it. So they tipped it, which is legal. I have .2 on the clock, and I'm trying to throw it in right here. It's a lot more difficult to score than it is right here, where I can just give a nice little lob and a tip. A lot more difficult. So that's why we have it there. Throwing procedures, always check 3 things. Partner, partner, table. You can add a 4th in to everybody else on the floor. Somebody's tying their shoes, trying to tuck the jersey in. Make sure you check the table for subs. If they're not at the table, they're trying to come out the door, they're at the table. They're sitting on the bench and be like, hey, I need a sub. And you're like, I'm ready to go, and there's nobody at the table, we're going to go. Try to give them a little bit of grace. Guess what? They want to sub out, what is the clock doing? Running. It's running. Guess what? Yeah, go ahead. Take a couple seconds to figure out who you want to come in for you. That's fine. So unless you actually have to run up and down the floor and officiate. Hand or bounce the ball. As I said today in one of my stations, if you're staying, hand the ball to them. If you're staying on the baseline, on the sidelines, or if you're going long, you can bounce the ball. But if you're staying in that front court, you need to hand them the ball. If you bounce it to them, this happened the other day. I bounced it to them and they were like, poop, and they missed it. Get the ball back, put it back in their hands. Instead of bouncing it to them, I went, spot. And I stood here and was like, you take the ball. They missed it. They lost the right for me to bounce and them to catch the ball. So, all right, so this one goes out of play. We're staying right here. My lead just slides on over, we slide on down. We always want 2 people on ball side when we inbound it. If this lead doesn't come, if my partner, I forget who this one is right off the top of my head. If I know my partner's name, which you should, hey Danny, your lead, Danny, until he gets over there. If he's just like, no, then I'm going to walk up, Danny, I think you should probably on this side until he gets over there. You can see ball's being put in play here. My lead, my center. We got a good look at this. I should probably come down and get a better angle on that. But you can see I bounced the ball here. And I took a step back to count. Ignore the mechanics, I get precision timing, it sucks, but that's what they had in this gym. So we were coming out of a timeout, that's why I blew my whistle. And my partner's looking up here. So those are some inbounding plays. Ball goes out, Brandon brings in the sub here. He holds up play, ball went out over here. My partner's not lazy. He went over there to go put the ball in play, which is good. Sub gets off the floor, we're ready to play. we're all in, ready to go. So just remember that. We went over some of this. If the ball's staying in the front court and the ball goes right there, who's inbounding this ball? Lead. Where is my trail going? I'm hoping trail's next. Gonna go center. Where's this person gonna go? Trail. It's just simple movements. What you don't want is this person to go down, and this person to come up, and this person to go over. That's not working. A bump and run. We talked about this a little bit. If the ball goes out of bounds right here, who should put this ball in play? We're gonna go this way towards me. Ball's gonna go this way. The lead. Why?
You want two people.
No, you want two people what?
Same side as the ball.
Yeah. So this person's gonna run here. This person, wherever the ball goes out of play, doesn't matter where it is in the backcourt, they will always put the ball in play. Always in play in the backcourt. So he or she's gonna run over, and they're just gonna slide down. So as a crew, it's the least amount of movement as possible. What you could argue is like, why didn't the center just go like this, and these people just rotate around? That's a lot more movement for everybody. So everybody just slides down the floor. Free throw administration was covered. I'm not going to cover it. We will see two videos here, or a couple videos. Says how many shots we have. 2. He backs out. Away we go. No big deal. So I think we got 1 shot left here is what he had. 1. Bounces it. Give them a good bounce pass. If it bounces more than once, you're wrong. Give them a good bounce pass. And go from there. Here's some foul reporting that you shouldn't do. I'll turn this up. You can't even hear this. He wasn't sure who he had the foul on. He's like, yeah. This is why you gotta back up. You see how you cannot hear him? White, 23, hit. 2 shots, or in this case I think it was 1. Count the basket. White, 23, hit. 1 shot. Why wouldn't we say 2-3?
It could sound like we're referring to 2 players, number 2 and number 3.
It could be number 2, it could be number 3, or it could be 23. So white, 23. If you don't like 2 hands, white, 23. Push. That's what we want. All right, so we had a foul. We're going to put the ball out of play. We did this rotation earlier. We walk around the players. Why do we go around the players?
So they don't like hit you back?
I'm a short kid and a lot of people, right? Somebody gets mad, they shove you. You don't need that kind of treatment through them. Just go around them. It's a lot easier. So I tell my partners where we're going to put it in play. Get to the foul reporting area. And we tell them where we're going to go, and then we bring subs in. My partner here doesn't move, just watches players. I bring subs in, and then I go to center. So my partner and I switch, count the basket. White 3 with a block, 1 shot. Notice I take my time here. As I say, this is your time to shine. Let everybody know what you have. Score the bucket, white 3, block, 1 shot. And then I turn around and tell my partners 1 shot. The slower you go, the less time you have to officiate, which is a good thing. When I say get a little pizzazz, there you go, block, score the bucket. The game was getting out of control at this point in time, so I didn't have to do it real big. But if they all go nuts and they want to know what it is, then you give the big old block signal and score it. They love it. So, we talked about rotations a little bit here, so I'm not going to go over this. This will all be online. To watch our rotations, he does some good position adjustment to try to get that. My partner, or is that me? Me, sees he needs help, so I come on over. I look to go back. Right now there's nothing being threatened. They're not really engaged at this point in time, so I'm watching my matchups. There's nobody here, so that's why I go over here. I got to get to where my competitive matchup is. There's nobody in your area, move, get out of there. short of them just dribbling out the clock right here, I want to make sure I put myself in a position. And I'm in my partner's position, adjust to make sure that they're in the right spot. My partner goes, I had a count, now I leave, and my partner picks up. If you have a count, if you have a 5-second count, you stay with that 5-second count until it breaks. Shouldn't be more than 5 seconds. So if you're at 1, 2, and they're going to cross, you're watching them, 3, you don't break that count because you can't tell your partner how many seconds you had. So you hang on to that count until it breaks. Either 5 second, they pick it up, then your partner picks it up. If they do it from there, they pass the ball. So my partner realizes it. We get ourselves in a position. I see he's coming up. I know I got to get out of there. I think we're coming towards the end of, oh, maybe not. So we put ourselves in a position. So that's rotations right there. This one is an old video, but Rob rotates and he gets this and one right here. So he rotates and puts himself in a good position, and they pick it up fairly well. So that's an example of a good rotation to pick up a foul. So Brian, the old coordinator, rotates over. Lee should have come up to see this. Now, is it his call? I'm going to take a poll here. Who thinks this guy should have had the call? We'll show it one more time. We're going to take a poll. You have 3 options. All right, who says it's his call? He took it. Anybody think it's his call? Anybody think it's his call? Yeah. Who thinks it's his call? All right. So, who was he watching originally? These guys, right?
Yeah.
Who's he watching? He's watching this, right? It is his primary. He's watching through as well. I don't know why. They actually had a triple whistle on this. He had a whistle, he had a whistle, he had a whistle. He just didn't do anything because these two were taking over the game.
Wait, he should have said, no, that's mine, and run to the table.
Should have. He worked here. He was the Danny before Danny was Danny, kind of thing. He worked here, right? He was our other coordinator. So, if he had had a whistle, I'd have looked at my partners and I'd be like, you like calling in my area? Now, granted, I know these two guys really, really well that I could be that sad and be like, you like calling in my area? You like coming to my home and taking my stuff away from me? Because it should have been his. At the end of the day, if you watch, he'll be like, he'll flinch a little. See him go like that? He had it. There were 3 whistles on this play. There shouldn't have been.
And then so the guy calls it.
Yep.
So they just flip-flop.
So in this case, he calls it, he reports and just keeps going, and he just goes down.
So if the guy who should have called it.
If he would have called it, these two would have switched.
Yeah, all right.
So, at the end of the day, I don't teach this switch because it confuses the hell out of everybody. Just fill in to make sure the ball gets put into play here, there's a lead down here, and the center's opposite. Or if the ball goes into play right here, the lead's on this side, the center's on this side. That's all you need. 2 on the ball side and 1 on the opposite. And if you're not there, fix it until you are. All right. I'm not going to do this because it's not important. Last second shot. The last second shot is the person who counts it or waves it off is the center or the trail opposite the table. Now you'd be like, well, it's right in front of the bucket. Shouldn't the lead wipe that off? No, because they're looking for a foul. But you need to have an opinion on it. So if it's the center of the trail opposite, we try to put the center opposite if we can. If we can rotate ourselves into having the C opposite the table, because when we go back down, if it gets quickly stolen down the other way, they need to know if it's going to go in or not. Everybody should have an opinion on it, but the only person that comes in, scores it, or waves it off is opposite the table. Now where this comes into play is if you need help. You'd be like, I didn't get a good look at it. What do you have? Or if your partner's like, score it, score it, score it, and you're like, the hell are you thinking? Hey, we need to talk. Do you see it 100%? No. Yeah, we didn't have it going in. And then you come out and wipe it off. These will happen maybe once or twice a week. Maybe. So, but here's an example of a last second shot. Shot. So we wipe it off. My partner should have an opinion on it. If it gets off before the horn, don't blow your whistle. Just let it go. And if it goes in, you come and score it. If it doesn't, just put your hand up and blow your whistle like this. All right, questions?